Where do I get my book inspirations? At every reading, I'm asked, where do I get my ideas for my books? Several years ago, my child, now an adult, called for some advice. It would have been easy to say, you've had your 18th birthday and eventually you will have to use your personal experiences to guide you to make your own decisions. But I didn't. I listened carefully, and opening my ancient Live and Learn file, I dusted it off and carefully extrapolated a solution to the problem at hand. I made sure to make suggestions as to not ram my ideas down the throat of my child. Immediately my offspring said, "Dad, you should write a book and include all of these solutions, because every child doesn't have a dad like you to call for advice." The gears started to whir, and I tried to get the inspiration on what to put in a book. I was totally at a loss. So I sat down to ruminate. From the swamps of the Everglades as a teenager to every state in the Union, all but one province of Canada, many stops in Mexico, several Caribbean countries, Chile, and numerous other Asian and European countries I have trod since I called Florida my home. Each mile was laced with visual and mindful overloads that I sculpted into words of wit or tucked away as a story to tell the family at a future event. I started making notes of these highlights. I woke one morning, remembering the first day of school in first grade. I was bewildered at the crying, screaming, and tantrums I witnessed. Mom and Dad had set me in bed the night before to tell me all about the next day. They failed to tell me about the floor show that I was witnessing. Adults have forgotten their first day alone, or put it so far in the annals of forgetfulness that they were unaware that the second most traumatic time of a child's life is the first time the child is left alone without mom or dad. The most traumatic, of course, is birth. I had my idea for my first book, hence, Who Are You? My third book is more of all of the above, using the same animals created for the first book, but a couple of years later in that class. As I crawled through the crevices of my mind looking for subject matter that would interest a third grader, I decided to take a journey through history. I could only get there from here if I could convince the reader that their imagination could get them to any destination I pointed to. In the writing of this book, it occurred to me that every child starts life with the parents cheerleading. You can walk, you can do it, you can talk, only to eventually chide, "Don't do that, stop, you can't do that." My parents were strict disciplinarians. However, they never quit believing I had the ability to achieve whatever I was pursuing. I felt I had to encourage every reader to always use their imagination. After all, today's children hold all of our future in their minds. Our children's imagination is our national treasure. I had my idea for Book 3, Where Are We? Yes, I know I received countless inquiries about what happened to Book 2. Well, I hadn't put it together yet, so I published Book 3 out of sequence. I watched the toddler repetitiously count and start over 1, 3, 2, 1, 4, and again I faded back in time to my parents, my children, fringe children's that I had met all over the world, and how they all crawled out of the doldrums of counting and entered into the exciting trip to numbers. It stuck with the child when you made the correlations with things the child already were acquainted with and these foreign words called numbers. This natural combination is used in every language for children to learn numbers, and they never forget. Although Book 4 is a learning's numbers book, I used a little human boy and a girl monkey as new characters to teach a lesson that is 9,000 years old, but forgotten by some newer teaching methods. Here is a term that is common thread through all of my books: common sense. Common sense, honor, and good citizenship are traits that have made every civilization successful. Often overlooked, but always applicable, I include these techniques in every Book 4, from Tree to 12. Finally, Book 2 of the Foregone series evaded me like mountains lost in the fog. I knew I wanted to use the same jungle characters To expand the trip to Far Gone, all trips don't include travel. Using the imagination, you can travel anywhere on this planet or any place in the galaxy. This book has taken longer to write and illustrate than the first 4 books that I have written. When you see the scenery that this book allows you to see, you will have the true definition of a look-see. This is unlike any book you've ever read to a child before, or any book you read before. This book will change the life of almost everyone who reads it. I am hopeful for a publishing date around October 1st. Book 2, A Sight to See, I hope you enjoy. I will be asking for your help when it's published. You can download the ebook for free and preferably leave a 5-star review. Remember, all of my book videos are free. The 5th book is for adults and can be viewed for free at the same address above. How to choose a children's book. Far Gone. The questions continue to roll in. How did you come up with a name like that? Where's Far Gone at? Is it a real place? Is it imaginary? What's the importance of a trip to Far Gone? A doctor friend of mine responded to one of my questions of where an item was by saying, "It's far gone." His next comment was quaint. Far Gone is so far away you can't get there from here. I have no less than 5 more stories in the Far Gone series. As I coordinate with my illustrator, these books will be released. The answer to the rest of the questions are answered in part in each of the Far Gone series books. Check out Dr. Qooz and leave a note, a like, or just retweet, forward, or tell somebody you know about a children's book author who writes about common sense.